Okay, you really need to hear this from me. Are you in a toxic relationship trying to get out, or perhaps you've already left a relationship, but now you're trying to reclaim your heart and pick up all the broken pieces and put it back together? Well, hey, I want to share with you 8 things that I did, process I went through of how I let go of a toxic relationship. And I wanted to do 8 things because I started to start at 7 because 7 is the number of closure. So we're going to go through 7 things, and then I'm going to add a bonus thing for you to start your new beginnings. If you are excited about this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you can get other dope videos. If you're into all about manifesting the life that you love and creating, attracting, and keeping the love of your life, then this is absolutely a channel for you. All about manifesting your healing, your transformation, and amazing love in your life. Listen, if I could just be honest with you, every relationship that I was in prior to meeting my husband, unfortunately, was a toxic relationship. And it really just boiled down because I was not confident in who I was and how I was showing up. And so I was attracting guys that had the same insecurities that I was struggling with. They were struggling with the same ones. Yeah, not working out quite the way that I was hoping. So today I'm going to share with you about one of those relationships. Maybe I'll share others and make this whole thing a series. But today I'm going to talk about a relationship that I had. I got in a relationship when I was 21 years old. I remember meeting this guy at the club, and I just thought he was the finest thing going. And a couple of days later, me and my friend I still remember his number. Is that horrible? Is that horrible? 19 years later. So, but because me and my friend had consciously remembered that number at the time of what his number was, because my phone was dead and I couldn't write it down or text it on my phone. And so I remember from there, very soon after, he invited me over to his house, and my friend was like, "You're not going over there by yourself." So she went with me. But that relationship really progressed very quickly. He really wanted to get in a sexual relationship with me very quickly, telling me I'm his girlfriend and just saying all the things that as a girl we want to hear, wanting that guy to, secure the relationship and all these things. And as I started to get in this relationship, I started to realize that I was in a relationship by myself. I would sit on the couch and I would never hear from him. Only time I hear from him is after he got from the club. He wanted me to come over. And so it was really a sexual relationship. He tried to act as if it was something more. For me, it was something more, but it was never anything more for him. And so this wasn't a relationship where I didn't get hit. I didn't get cursed out. He didn't take money from me in that type of regard. So I know when we think about toxic, we think about the arguing and the fussing and fighting. It was none of that. It was none of that. It was that I was just vulnerable and I was taken advantage because I was naive in that moment and not really knowing how to discern the character of a man and really not understanding how to get my needs met in a relationship and so much other things. And so just kind of wanted to give you a backstory about the level of relationship that I was in. And I remember when I finally started to realize that I was not the only one in this relationship, I had challenged him because I saw some douche underneath the counter in his house. And I was like, "Dude, you really got douche underneath your sink? Like, really?" He's like, "Oh, that was my sister." I'm like, "Your sister's not coming in your house to douche." And I remember him saying, he called my whole name. And he's like, "If I was cheating, you wouldn't leave. So I don't know why you keep asking me." Because I kept asking that same day. And he got aggravated with me asking. He said, "Even if I was cheating, you wouldn't leave." And that's when I knew that I had hit rock bottom, that I had been tolerating way more than I should have, that I really didn't have the proper standards and boundaries about what I would allow in a relationship. And so that's really going to take me to my first thing. Ask yourself, what are you tolerating? That's what I had to do. I had to ask myself what I was tolerating, because when I went back to the situation, I remember it would be, 5, 6, 7 days and he would not call. And then on the 8th day, the phone rang. And then next thing you know, I was over his house and we were having intimacy and being sexual and things like that. And it just was like, I was just being used to the 28th power, but I didn't realize it at the time. I thought it was a relationship because I believe when people tell me stuff, I believed it, right? So ask yourself, what are you tolerating? Number one, or what did you tolerate? Then secondly, you want to ask yourself, like I had to ask myself, why was I tolerating this? Because at that time, I asked, what was I tolerating? I was tolerating being lied to, not being taken. He didn't take me out on dates. He didn't take me to meet his family. I was tolerating being a mystery. I was tolerating being a secret. I was tolerating being ignored most of the time, right? And then I had to ask myself, why was I tolerating that? And that was a hard question because the only thing I can really reveal in that moment of why I was tolerating that was like, I didn't feel as if I deserved better because I had went from, you gotta understand that the guys I had dated before were drug dealers, high school dropouts. They were very low caliber men based on the area where I lived and grew up. And so when I met this guy who had a master's degree, he was working towards his master's degree, he had his bachelor's degree, he had a full-time job, he had his own apartment, he had his own car. It just seemed like, I felt like, listen, when Beyonce was saying that upgraded, I was like, listen, I'm upgraded too, boo. Like, listen, I felt this was such a better caliber of man, and not really having the knowledge about dating, relationships, love, and having a lot of false teaching from men that manipulated me when it came to love and dating. I didn't really know how to identify a healthy relationship, right? I just was like infatuated by his resume. And so that's kind of why I tolerated it. Cause I was like, listen, I ain't never had like nobody like this on this level. Like, listen. And so I had to come to a realization on that and really reevaluate it. And then that leads me to my number 3 thing, which I had to convince myself I could do better. And then you know what? The thing is, a lot of times I want to tell you, especially if you're watching this, you're likely a high achieving woman. And I hate when people say, oh, high achieving, but you're a busy boss babe. That's what I like to say, right? You have a lot going for yourself. You are an amazing woman. You are a go-getter. And in that, it's just not about that person's resume. Sometimes we get so caught up in their resume, and yeah, that does have some weight in it, but that's not the end all be all. It's more to it than what they bring in the table in terms of education and financial. I have another video that I'm going to tell you to check out. And I talked about how to identify your soulmate. And I talk about what you really need to be looking for when you're trying to genuinely connect with somebody. A lot of times we're focused so much on the wrong thing. And so I had to convince myself beyond his resume, yes, that I deserve better. I deserve someone to call me and check on me. I deserve someone to tell me that they love me outside of sleeping with me. I deserve someone to take me out on a date. I deserve these small things that was important to me, but I wasn't getting. And so you have to convince yourself that you deserve the better than what you're getting right now. So whether that's somebody cussing and fussing at you, whether that's somebody cheating on you, whether that's you being somebody's side chick right now, like whatever your treatment you're getting right now, you have to convince you that you deserve better. You have to love you enough to say, I'm not going to allow someone to put me at the bottom. You heard the quotes again on Instagram, Facebook, people say, you're not going to make somebody else a priority and they're making you an option. Gone are the days of doing that. The 4th thing I had to do is start breaking the soul tie. And I did that through physical separation and also through prayer. I saw this book title one time that says, if you want closure, start with your legs. And that's what I'm going to tell you. If you want closure, you have to physically separate yourself from that person. You cannot continue to sleep with that person. Like as women, when we sleep with someone, that person really becomes our husband. Yes. And that's where, let me go here for a second in the word of God. When Jesus was at the well and the lady was at the well and she was saying, oh, who are you? And he was saying, oh, I know who you are. And he was like, yeah, you've been married for 5 times. And the man, you're not married. I believe that when Jesus was referring to is that she had consummated, meaning she had sexual relationships with each of those men. And that's why he was referring to them as her husband. So understand when we have a sexual relationship with a guy like that, it is very intimate and that person becomes one with us as women, right? This literally in an act of intercourse, the two become one flesh in that moment. So it's not necessarily the ceremonial thing. And so with that, you have to break it through the breaking of that engagement and allowing him to insert himself to become part of you and depositing his spirit onto your spirit and onto your body. Now, I also said prayer, and this is really, really important because I'm gonna tell you, I don't think without prayer, I don't know if I could have did it. I remember praying that God separated me as far as the East is from the West from that relationship, because listen, you would have thought I was like a crackhead. I was strung out, right? Strung out because again, that relationship was consummated, and that is a form of marriage. And so with that, it just was really hard to break away, especially just, I mean, it just was a mess. And so I had to spend time in prayer, and I had to cry out to God, and I had to let that thing burn. And that, oh, I'm about to go on to the next number 5. But before I go there, let me say this. Share in the comments right now. I want to encourage you to share in the comments. What have you tolerated, right? Let me know some of the things that you've tolerated from your past relationship, from the relationship you're in right now, right? Share with me, why have you tolerated those things? And let's start to move forward. And even you can share with me how can you convince yourself that you deserve better? Just drop in a comment. All the questions I'm asking, you can answer them in the comments. Now, I just talked about, and I'm looking because I do have some notes here. So you probably see me kind of looking to the left a little bit to make sure I capture everything. So let's go on to number 5. So I talked about number 4, which starts with breaking soul ties through physical separation and through prayer. And then number 5 is give yourself time to grieve that relationship. Grieve the loss of the companionship, grieve the loss of the sexual pleasure, grieve the loss of the possibility of marrying that person, grieve the loss of spending time with that person, of any friendship or, the fun that you have with that person. You have to grieve it because you're losing something. You are. Even if it's bad, it's still a loss, and you need to give yourself the time and space to grieve that thing. I remember crying. I remember boo-hooing. It was a whole situation. I remember just walking backwards, and I hit the wall, and I like slid down that wall all the way to the floor, right? Like something in a movie, and just devastated because it was difficult to deal with. And so you have to go through that. In order to have a breakthrough, something got to break. You got to break that bond. You have to break that relationship. You have to break that tide so you can break through. You break off so you can break free and move forward in the freedom that you know you need and desire. Number 6, this is the 6th thing I did. I would stop answering his calls. And I had to, I don't know if I blocked him or changed my number, but I did not answer any calls from him. So you do whatever you have to do. I believe I temporarily blocked the number. Maybe I permanently blocked the number. I couldn't take that because I knew that in that moment when he would call me 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, that I would answer, or whatever the case may be, or even 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the day, which would be very unlikely, that I would answer, and I would be more tempted to go over and to give him opportunity to plead his case. So stop answering the call, block the line, or change your number. Number 7, replace the time you would have spent with your boyfriend or whomever and replace it with new activity. See, because you can't just remove something and not replace it with something else. So if you guys used to hang out, and maybe it wasn't like my crazy relationship, and maybe you guys did actually go on dates and you had a good time, but maybe then they were abusive, or maybe they had a lot of insecurities, or maybe they had daddy issues or mommy issues, or maybe they're just not whole. Maybe they're not a Christian. I mean, there's so many reasons that a relationship can be toxic. I feel like I need to do a video on how to identify a toxic relationship. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to do a video on how to identify a toxic relationship, but or a toxic partner. That's good. Let me know. So replace that time, find other activities to do. I encourage you to get into a new hobby, check, see if you like gardening. Maybe you like dancing. Maybe you want to take your cooking skills to another level. Maybe you want to learn a new language. Maybe you want to learn to play a new instrument. Maybe you want to do something. I find that so many women lack, as women, we lack hobbies and really things that we like to do. And we oftentimes revolve our lives around our children and a man. And let me tell you, sister girlfriend, you are more than a mom and our future mom, and you're, because I know a lot of women that follow me are single, never married, no children, but regardless of the fact, regardless of where you lie, you're more than that. You're more than a piece of tail for sure. You're more than a man's wife. You have more to you than that, right? And so with that, go out and find the things that you love and start enjoying those things. You don't got to wait for a man to do that. And lastly, but that's not least, so that's the 7 steps that I took. And then the 8th thing I'm going to tell you, which is new beginnings, right? So we got to the closure, replacing those activities. Number 8 is establish new genuine relationships with others. So I remember being very intentional about going to meetup.com and going to places. And I wasn't going to meet a man. I was going there to meet friends. I met many friends on those types of apps. I remember Social Jane was a thing. I still have a girlfriend that I met on Social Jane back in like 2009. Here we are 12 years later, me and her are still friends. And so you want to foster relationships with women, have those relationships, like your relationship with girlfriends matter. Like you don't want to be a hermit and only in your own corner and only focus on your own selfish ambition. That's not what life is. We're here for relationships, right? You're supposed to be, if you're a woman of God, you like to follow me, you're probably a woman of God, right? You are supposed to be the salt and light of the earth. Come on, light shines. Come on, light is not hidden. Salt is spicy, right? Salt give you a little bit of kickback. And so you need to be doing that by engaging and interacting and fostering relationships. And this is a great way to learn how to build healthy relationships. Oh man, I meant to say something in my other video. I totally forgot. I meant to say my other video, but what I was going to say, I'll say it here. So in my soul tie video, I wish I had said, but I'll say it here, is that I gave an example of Jonathan and David in that video, and how Jonathan and David was friends, but they had a soul tie and they had that soul and spirit attraction. And what I want to say is that we forget that the most important thing in the relationship is to be friends first. Like we so caught up in them being fine and want to screw, we forget all about having a friendship and really forget all about getting to know that person for who they are and really finding out, just, are you a decent human being? I just am curious to know, like, that just may be important. Okay, I'm done and I'm finished. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, I want to invite you to check out my next video, which is about how to find your soulmate. I think you will enjoy that video. And again, let me know in the comments if you guys want me to do a video on how to identify a toxic partner, because that's really important. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that I do have a group coaching program, and I am taking applications for that program. So if you want to complete an application, if you are like, listen, I know I need support on my journey, then I want to invite you to go ahead and complete that application. And once you complete that application, we'll let you know if you go to the next phase, which would be an interview, a call with me, because I don't work with everybody. We'll have a call and see if it's a good fit. And if it's a good fit, we'll invite you into the program and go from there. And if you're not a good fit, I will refer you to other resources that I think is better for you. So anyway, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Super excited that you're watching this video. If you have not already, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you can get other dope content to help you to catch your whole life. Okay? Okay? All right. Peace.